If there is one thing Disney related that is guaranteed to make me cry, it is listening to Baby Mine from the original Dumbo. Like, talk about the saddest Disney song ever made. Baby... Nah, no! I can't do it. No. It's like you all want to make me cry on camera or something. What is up, everybody? RandomRandomMan here, bringing you my review for the 2019 live-action remake of Dumbo. By the way, I will be announcing the winner to the giveaway contest I held in my previous review at the end of this video, so you may skip to the indicated time frame to find out who won. Now, the plot to this version of Dumbo basically follows a family that works at a failing circus as they encounter a baby elephant with extremely large ears who is capable of flying and may be the key to saving that circus. Going into this movie, I was actually really anticipating it. Between all three of the live-action Disney remakes we are getting this year, this, Aladdin, and The Lion King, Dumbo was the one I was the most excited for because it is the oldest film that is being remade out of Disney's long catalog of classic animated films, and I felt that for a movie that is over 70, almost 80 years old, it's about time that a new generation of audiences would get a fresh interpretation of this story. When it comes to my take on the original 1941 Dumbo film, I don't have the clearest of memories watching it as, let's say, with me watching Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, The Lion King, or even the Winnie the Pooh cartoons from Disney. What I do remember of that film is that it is really sad. One of the saddest Disney classics, even by the studio's standards. As I said in the intro, it boasts what I think is the saddest Disney song of all time, Baby Mine, and I also do remember some of the more controversial aspects with that film, such as the racist-looking crows and the psychedelic pink elephants sequence. So, yeah, either way, I don't have much recollection of watching that film, and I didn't even go back to watch it before seeing this new live-action remake of it, as I wanted to go in with an open mind to see how this new version would fare as a film on its own. So again, going into this movie, I was anticipating it. Watching the first teaser trailer for this movie had me so emotional in my feels with the new version of Baby Mine sung by Aurora really getting to me. This movie having a really strong cast, it being directed by Tim Burton. He is one of the most visionary directors we have working in Hollywood today, and he actually kind of kickstarted the recent trend of Disney doing these live-action remakes or follow-ups to their classic Disney films with his remake or sequel, prequel of sorts of Alice in Wonderland from 2010. That I thought was a fine film. I didn't mind it too much, but the sequel, Alice Through the Looking Glass, I thought was horrible, though Burton did not direct that film. And yeah, as of late, Tim Burton has been a hit or miss director for some. I will admit, I enjoy some of his more older work from the 80s and 90s more than his recent stuff from the 21st century, but I was still really excited to see Dumbo. Starting out with the cast and their performances, we have Colin Farrell as Holt Farrier, a World War I veteran who used to be a horse rider for this circus. He has now come back to that circus after the war has obviously ended. This movie takes place in 1919, but sadly, he has lost an arm ever since the war, and he has returned to his two kids. I thought Farrell did a very good job in this role. He had a southern accent in this movie, and I thought it was a bit weird at first hearing him do that kind of accent. I mean, I've had no problem hearing him do American accents in the past before. Just last year in Widows, he pulled off a Midwestern accent pitch perfectly. And I thought his accent in Dumbo slipped at times, but it was mainly his character that got me to really enjoy his performance here. We also have Michael Keaton as V.A. Vanderveer, this theme park owner who doesn't come in until a bit later into the movie, almost halfway through or so, and he is the villain of sorts for this movie, and it's nice to see him working with Tim Burton again after both Beetlejuice and both Batman movies he has done for the director. And I thought he did ham it up quite a bit throughout this movie here. Also joining Keaton for a Batman Returns reunion is Danny DeVito as Max Medici, the ringmaster and owner of his circus, the Medici Circus. He was easily my favorite human character in this film. He has basically the same mannerisms you would expect a DeVito to have in a family-friendly kind of environment. There's also Eva Green as Colette, this French trapeze artist who, like Keaton's Vanderveer, doesn't show up until a bit later into the movie, but I always enjoy her beautiful screen presence here. Alan Arkin has a minor role later on into the film. I always like seeing him too. Then we have the two young actors who play the kids to Farrell's character, Nico Parker and Finley Hobbins, as the older daughter and younger son respectively. Now Nico Parker, I knew I recognized her from somewhere, as she is actually the daughter to Thandie Newton. She looks so much like her mom here, and I thought that the two performances from these young actors were fine for what they had to do. I don't want to rag on too much about child actors' performances, but I will say that they do have some time to grow if they do continue on to act in more projects. There's also a cameo in this film that was personally spoiled for me, but it will either be hit or miss for you depending on how you perceive it. I thought it was a bit of a joy seeing this person show up. Overall here, I thought that the cast was solid, but of particular note for me has to go to Danny DeVito as Max Medici. The writing of this film does set it up to be like the original Dumbo film, with the setting of the circus here. Some of the same beats of the original Dumbo film are touched upon, such as Dumbo's mother being taken away. I would say that the first 40 minutes or so do a pretty faithful job in recapturing what the original Dumbo told all those decades ago with this script written by Aaron Kruger. Now, you may not recognize his name immediately, but I think you'll recognize some of the films that he has written for in the past, such as the second, third, and fourth live-action Transformers films from Michael Bay. Yeah, that did make me a little trepidatious going into this movie, given how those aren't the most well-written movies in the world, but I will say that what he did, and again, not only being faithful to the original Dumbo film with the first section of this film, but also deviating into the latter hour of the movie and inserting some new elements, they made for some interesting additions to the movie. I also think this is strengthened by the actual entrance of our title character himself, as, oh my god, he is one of the cutest CGI creations I've ever seen in a movie, at least in recent memory here, as wow, just the way he is rendered on screen, it's just about flawless with how he convincingly looks like he is there on screen. And oh my god, his appearance, his big blue beady eyes, he reminds me a bit of my younger brother when he was a baby. He also had big gleaming blue eyes here, so yeah, that touched my heart for sure. And the movie, I think, does have quite a bit of heart throughout here, and that is added on with Tim Burton's direction. In the past, Burton has had no problem inserting a bunch of whimsy and wonder to his projects, also having some darker elements here and there in some of his movies. And I think for Dumbo, for the most part, he has effectively used some of his trademark style to his advantage here. He didn't go full Burton in this movie, in that, yeah, it mainly does have a tone that is suitable for an audience of all ages here. And when it did come to that baby mine sequence, it is glossed over pretty quickly. It isn't as drawn out as the original film from what I remember here, but in a way, for me, that was a good thing, because I would have been a blubbering wreck if that had gone on for a long time. Just, but But yeah, the tone of this movie is mainly lighthearted, and this is, again, thanks to the direction by Burton here, and it really got me to care about Dumbo as a character. Though this movie is more emphasized with the human characters as opposed to the original film. Now, I usually don't listen to reviews prior to seeing or reviewing movies that I have watched, as why would I talk about other people's opinions when I am displaying my own? But the reviews for this film have been pretty mixed in saying that there was too much that deviated from the original film. And I think that for me, what was added and omitted in this newest interpretation of Dumbo mainly worked. It got me to be charmed by it. I mean, some of the same people who complained that this new version of Dumbo strayed too far away from the original film are some of the same people who are complaining that the Beauty and the Beast remake from 2 years ago was too close to the original 1991 animated classic, which, in my opinion, if a movie is to be remade, I would rather have it capture some of the same spirit of the original while doing some things differently. And I think that is what this remake of Dumbo has done. Also, in this specific instance, the original Dumbo film was a little over an hour long, 64 minutes, so barely over an hour, and this new version of Dumbo is about an hour and 50 minutes, so almost twice as long as that original film. So it was obvious that quite a bit did have to be added in to not only fill up the running time, but also expand the story. And like I've just mentioned, I thought that a lot of the new additions here did make me enveloped within the story for the most part. This brings me to some of the technical elements of this movie. Like I mentioned with Dumbo and how he was rendered to be photorealistic, I thought it was quite convincing to see him on screen, him either just acting cute or flying around with his big ears. I did think this movie was excessive in its use of CGI. It was pretty noticeable in a lot of the backgrounds of the movie that it was green or blue screen. I mean, I did notice some real sets used here and there, especially with the circus scenes inside the big old tent where everyone is seeing the main performances be held, but there was an over-reliance on CGI elsewhere. But with the rest of the visuals, specifically with how I thought the movie was well shot with its cinematography, the production design, and the costumes, Tim Burton really is a visionary director through and through. He has a real eye for taking us to another world or a time gone by here, as I did feel like I was in the late 1910s, in the early 20th century. There was also more of a variety with the visuals as it did progress, especially with its use of color. That infamous pink elephants on parade sequence from the original Dumbo film, I thought was more tastefully done here with how it was viewed up, and Dumbo's involvement as well did capture a lot more of the enlightening moments that I did feel while watching this film. With the movie and how it ran, I thought it ran mostly well with its aforementioned an hour and 50-minute running time. I did think it lulled a bit with its second act going into the third act, but I did think it chugged along mainly at a suitable pace. The music in this film, Danny Elfman composed the score for Dumbo, and of course, he is a longtime collaborator of Tim Burton, so these two working together is just like butter and toast mixing. Is that a good metaphor to use? Well, either way, both of them working together is always great to see and hear. I thought what Elfman did with some pieces, especially when it came to the circus performances, really did feel like I was watching a circus performance from this era. I've already mentioned this before too, but yes, Baby Mine is heard in this film twice specifically. The version that we heard in the teaser trailer for this film by Aurora is not used, but the two versions that we do here are one from Sharon Rooney, who does play a member of the circus act. She is seen playing the song and also in the background during the Baby Mine sequence itself with Dumbo and his mom. And then the second version we do here is over the end credits by Arcade Fire. Now, if you know me personally, I love Arcade Fire. I did hear their version of Baby Mine before this movie was released, as it did come out as a single, but hearing it over the end credits was great to hear anyway. I felt like the band's unique sound mended well with the classic Disney feel that it was trying to impose with this new version of Baby Mine, and for that, it gets a thumbs up from me, as does the film overall, as I do think that Dumbo gets a thumbs up from me as well, as telling a new version of this story that has now been displayed for a brand new audience and generation of viewers. I saw this movie with my mom, and she enjoyed it just about as much as I did. And in simple terms, she said that this is a movie that can be enjoyed by anybody of all ages. And I 100% agree with you, Ma, because this is a film that I think anybody, no matter who you are, can enjoy, unless you have a heart of stone. In the case of that, I don't think this movie will turn you over to its side. Dumbo is not going to go down as one of my favorite live-action Disney remakes. My top three, for me personally, would have to be the Cinderella remake, the Pete's Dragon remake, and the Jungle Book remake, as I think those are stronger films, and who knows how Aladdin is going to turn out this May, and The Lion King this July. We're even getting a sequel to Maleficent, which has just been moved up to this November, so we're getting quite a bit of new live-action films from Disney. But for the first one we've gotten this year and how it fits in complementing the original film, I enjoyed Dumbo again. I recommend it. My final verdict for Dumbo is 3.5 out of 5 stars. Alright, so you've either watched the entirety of this review, or you just skipped to the end because you want to find out who won the digital HD copy code for Avengers Infinity War. I have the names of the entries right here in this bowl, so let's go ahead and choose a winner. Shaking them up, fishing for a winner, fishing for a winner, and I think we have a winner. And the winner of the digital HD copy code for Avengers Infinity War is Zaplin Nad. Congratulations, dude. I will be getting in contact with you to send over the digital copy code. I hope to do more of these giveaway contests in the near future. Thank you all, as always, for watching. Be sure to like this video, comment on what you thought of Dumbo. Social media links in the description. Subscribe to my channel for more, and I'll catch you on the next movie review.